Combat Boat 90, or CB90, cuts through the Norwegian fjords like a knife. With a steel-reinforced hull that can grind against the rocky Nordic shores, and enough gun mounts to handle any threats on the beach, CB90 is an apex predator in its natural environment.
Alright y'all, welcome back to Common Arms channel. Okay, so today we're checking out a video about some US Marines in Norway. So this is Exercise Steadfast Defender 24. So I guess it's basically a bunch of NATO Marines doing this massive amphibious assault on the littorals of Norway. So I gotta say, I was kind of jelly whenever I was in Romania. We had a bunch of Marines go up to Norway. I think it was like a company, and they were doing some training there. And I just thought it was really cool for them to go into the Arctic Circle and do some training, especially like doing amphibious assaults would be a completely different beast. And again, we've kind of talked about it already, but the Arctic it's its own kind of monster, and it takes some very skilled, specially trained people to operate effectively in that environment. But this video is about 12 minutes long. It is from the NATO YouTube channel, so we already know the quality is going to be pretty on point. But I'm pretty excited to see all these NATO Marines kind of doing their thing, working together and attacking this Arctic coast. So let's go ahead and check it out. Okay, I like that hype intro.
NATO's Marines have landed.
That's
This
so
time
sick.
in the Arctic Circle, where the nights are long and the cold never quits. Their mission, to push.
So we got the Finns and their Snow MO5, super aesthetic. You guys might have seen me use some Snow MO5 in some videos, but I gotta say,
The Arctic Circle, where the nights are long.
the
and
snow
cold
stuff,
never
the Arctic
quits.
stuff is so aesthetic.
Their mission, to push back a simulated attack on Norway and prove their ability to keep our people safe
But
by
it's
defending
tough.
every inch of Allied soil. But as these Marines are about to find out, the Arctic is unlike anywhere else in NATO, and it will push them to
Golly.
their limits.
For real, like doing anything is gonna be so strenuous, so taxing on your logistics especially.
Harstad, Norway. In the bitter cold of the winter morning, Marines
even gonna
from the
try and
Finnish
pronounce
Navy's
that.
Milan Brigade haul their gear onto the U.S. Navy ship Gunston Hall. This will be their home as they put their skills to the test during NATO's largest collective defense drills in decades, Steadfast Defender
Damn,
24.
really? Holy cow.
The Gunston Hall is a big ship, but that doesn't make it easier for the Finns and their bulky rucksacks.
Okay, well, yeah, that is pretty bulky. I mean, moving, oh my gosh, that's such a struggle when you get on ship, is just like bringing all of your stuff through those narrow P-ways, trying to fit through these hatches and whatnot. We would take like an Osprey or a CH-53 off of the ship, so we didn't have to do all that stuff kind of downloading. Like we would basically just take our rucksacks, bring them onto the helicopter, and kind of take it from there.
Moving to their quarters requires a bit
It's like a
of
one-time
multinational
problem.
teamwork.
I got you.
Oh, the sounds of the ship too.
It's way harder to navigate than I thought.
It's pretty
Well, yeah, also finding your way around the ship too.
We have too much stuff.
I wonder if it's different from Finnish ships.
Anchors
then.
away. For this exercise, the Gunston Hall will patrol the massive fjords of Norway's Arctic coast and help the Finnish Marines launch raids on the shore.
That's
To get there,
badass.
they'll hitch a ride with their Nordic neighbors.
Dude, look at that.
The Swedish Amphibious Corps sent 2 CB90 combat boats to the exercise, each
Hell
capable
yeah.
of carrying more than 20 Marines to shore.
Oh, I love that. They just fill the
They dock in the
freaking
Gunston
well
Hall's
deck.
well deck, a massive floodable compartment that allows it to carry small boats.
And
The
even
Amphibious
some
Corps was
pretty
formed to
massive.
defend Sweden's long, rugged
crafts
coastline,
as well.
including the more than 30,000 islands in the Stockholm archipelago.
Dude, I really want to ride on
Now,
one of those
they're
so
learning how
bad.
to apply their specialized skills to the collective defense of NATO allies.
Holy cow. I mean, you see these guys and I'm like, those guys look like some Arctic professionals. Like I would not want to try and, do any sort of assault on their archipelagos or whatever when I see these guys patrolling the waters.
The distinguished Swedish Marine is that since we operate so dispersed, we can operate by ourselves for a long period of time in pretty harsh environments.
But what makes a Marine? Amphibious troops all over NATO take pride in being able to cope
That's
with
very
the toughness of
subjective.
their job.
Well, you have to be resilient, and you have to have a strong will, a will to push yourself to the extreme and a bit further.
I like
They
his
work in
combat
wet,
top.
often cold conditions. They have to travel light and without the guarantee of resupply, they must think on their feet to get the job done.
Oh,
They must
interesting,
be
yeah.
innovative to solve different tasks problems occur, because they will.
Oh my
Marines are
gosh, it looks
tough,
like Game of
sure.
Thrones.
But in the Arctic, tough isn't
North
enough.
of the wall.
When the temperature drops below 20 degrees centigrade, it stops being cold and starts being dangerous. For untrained troops, it can be lethal. That's
Oh
why
my
the US
gosh.
Marine Corps sends troops to Norway to learn winter's harsh lessons. These
Dude, for
Marines
real.
from 1st Battalion, 2nd Marine Regiment have hacked a home out of the dense forest and deep snow near Sertemon. They sleep and wake in extreme cold. To drink, they boil snow. At this early stage,
That
it's
seems
just
so
enough to
cool.
survive.
Sounds
Later,
miserable, but
you'll need to learn how to not just survive,
Kind of
but
a
fight
vibe.
and win in these brutal conditions.
that's the
have a large
thing,
number-
like, I mean, with the military in general, and I'm trying to pause it too much, but with the military in general, like, you have this kind of general military physique, because obviously in the military, the fitness is different when you're doing things like ruck marching or like carrying certain equipment or doing certain things, especially when it comes to like maneuvering and combat operations and tactics, just how you're like getting up and getting to certain position. Like you kind of just condition your body a certain way. And the Arctic requires like a completely different level of that. And you hear a lot of YouTubers kind of talk about the need for just having like general physical fitness in the military, but that's especially true in an environment like this. I mean, the Marines, they have a pretty solid level of kind of general physical fitness. But again, there's even things that you can do just in the Marines alone where it really tests your kind of like physical fitness. And I'll actually talk about that a little bit more as we talk about today's sponsor. So if you guys don't know, I don't really do sponsorships very often, and if I do, it's going to be something that I definitely stand behind, something that I actually value and kind of use, you know, on a day-to-day. So we're going to be talking about Tasty Gains. I gotta say their supplements are on point. So specifically their creatine gummies is what really has me hooked. But the way creatine works, basically it boosts your adenosine triphosphate, which is your ATP, which you might remember kind of from biology class, but the ATP is basically what fuels all of your cells. So boosting your ATP, boosting the energy to your cells, that pays dividends when you're talking about like actually working out, not only for like high intensity stuff, but also like longer endurance stuff as well. I didn't really use or believe in creatine. I mean, for the most part, I was kind of just using whey protein because I was like the whiz bang thing back when I was kind of growing up. But, you know, a lot of people were swearing by creatine, and I never really tried it until I was doing the Recapture Tactics team selection, and that pretty much like every day is just smoking you, and my body wasn't really recovering as much as I was using like the foam roller and other things. It wasn't recovering as much as I needed to. So I had a buddy actually turn me on to creatine, and once I had it, I was hooked. But that being said, I've used a lot of creatine supplements. I've used like the powders, I've used like other edible gummies or like the chalky things that you can kind of like chew. And this by far, like nothing else stacks up to these. A lot of the other ones just felt very like artificial or felt very, tasted very medicinal. These taste super natural, and I can tell that they're working. I've been using these creatine supplements for a while now. And again, I can feel it. I mean, creatine in general does what it's supposed to do, but with these it makes it very easy to consistently take in that creatine, because that's another thing when it comes to gummies. I mean, that's why they have like gummy multivitamins, because people just don't want to take supplements that taste like crap, especially if you guys are like in the military or if you do anything that kind of, you know, requires a lot of kind of strenuous activity, especially on a day-to-day where it might be kind of hard to recover. I would definitely recommend creatine, and Tasty Gains is definitely the people to go to for that. So appreciate you guys. Thank you for sponsoring the video, but let's continue with this video.
For Marines who have never been in the snow in their life before. So as Marines, we have
Seems
a
familiar
hallmark
for some
of being
reason.
able to fight in any climate place. And in order to do that, it just takes practice and just grow in that proficiency through the repetition.
For Marines used to firm ground, the deep snow is a serious obstacle.
Oh my gosh.
Walking through it would quickly exhaust them. The only option is to glide along the surface using skis.
Oh my god, I bet they laugh at the Americans trying to do this.
Easier said than done, perhaps.
Yeah, I'd be the guy in
Falling's
the
all
back
part
there.
of it. Just learning the right ways to fall and then the best ways to get back up after you fall is very important. Hard part about being in the Marine Corps and skiing is
Sounds like a
ski
Rocky
your main
quote.
back and your weapon. So teaching the guys now the basics without all that helps, just a building block approach. they're picking up very fast, and I'm really happy with what I'm seeing.
Out here, the Marines need a reliable source of food, fuel, and ammunition. Getting it to them
Golly,
can
that
be a
looks
struggle.
cold.
What we're seeing right here is the offloading of a resupply that comes in every couple of days. So that's the biggest challenge is just the sheer amount of logistics that's required.
Lieutenant Covert, that's a pretty badass name.
And significantly more complex.
Sounds like a G.I. Joe.
The cold exhausts not just the body, but the mind as well. Eventually, your willpower breaks down, despair creeps in, and thoughts turn from accomplishing the mission to saving yourself while you still can.
Oh, just that
The Marines
sound
call
of the
this
cold
going
winds.
internal. To stop
Going
this from happening,
internal.
they rely on their greatest resource, each other.
Yeah, it'd be very easy to go internal.
Around with each other, kind of poke and prod with each other, share stories, and the spirits up, and the motivation. Can't let anyone break off.
In the Marine Corps, have you ever done anything this hard?
No, not really. I personally think this is my hardest training op I've ever done. No.
Okay, I mean, like, if I was getting interviewed by, like, public affairs or whoever's doing it, and they asked me that question, I guess I'd probably be a little bit tempted to just be like, I'd throw them a bone, like, oh, no, definitely not. But, I mean, they are operating the Arctic, and it's definitely going to be a doozy, so, I mean, I think it's kind of valid as well. That's so
While
cool.
Norway
These drone
sleeps,
shots are
Finnish
insane.
Marines get ready to sneak ashore on Swedish combat boats.
Oh, this is going to be so dope.
Far from the theatrics
Nice.
of Hollywood, modern amphibious operations often rely on speed and stealth to succeed.
Ooh, I
That's
wonder
where
how
the
the
Swedish
nods
Marines come in.
look with all the snow.
The combat boat 90, or CB-90, cuts through the Norwegian fjords like a knife. With a steel-reinforced hull that can grind against the rocky Nordic shores, and enough gun mounts to handle any threats on the beach,
It does have a
CB-90
lot,
is an
huh?
apex predator in its natural environment.
It's like
Dude.
driving a
Is this
sports
National
car.
Geographic or
It's the
something? What
best,
the
word I
fuck?
could imagine. It's built to be durable and can go ashore and on rocky cliffs, virtually anything.
Way faster than our AAVs, that's for sure.
So how was the ride?
What?
How was the ride?
What?
It was good.
Fair enough. The Finnish Marines of the
He's-
Lehman Brigade are
he's
unique.
fucking done. He's like,
Unlike
I've been
the
up
rest
all
of their
night
country's
planning.
Defense forces, their first language isn't Finnish, but Swedish. This means they can work hand in glove with their Swedish counterparts.
Oh, word, okay.
Our brigade is founded by a Swedish king. A Swedish company can come to Finland, report into the battalion commander, and 3 hours from that they can do a combined mission already.
Oh, why does it look like Magnus Midba? What the fuck? Am I tripping? Damn, he's really integrating in the military now. Really did look
Together,
like
the
him.
Marines must trek through the hilly terrain to scout out a helicopter landing zone. The forest is dense and the ground is steep. It's slow
Oh.
going, even for expert skiers like the Finnish Marines.
That's tricky
The
finding
thing
a
about Finns is we
spot for a
all
helicopter.
more or less grew up on skis, but yeah, I'm a bit scared to climb the biggest hills here because it's quite different from Finland. Finland is very flat, so.
Oh, damn.
With the landing zone secured, it's time to kick off a uniquely NATO operation. An Italian helicopter
High
lifts a
speed.
Finnish snowmobile off an American warship and carries it to a clearing in Norway.
Interesting. That's the interoperability right there. That's NATO.
39er, this is 30.
Dude, those helos are so sick.
This snowmobile will make their lives much easier as they push further inland.
I'm kind of confused. So, I mean, I'm trying to think of another way to just bring these things onto the shore. I mean, I guess, so generally speaking, when it comes to like ships bringing equipment to the shore, you have like LCACs or like the giant hovercrafts, basically. I don't know if those can even operate in an environment like this, but okay. I mean, and they might just be doing it as well to kind of just get reps with using helicopters and like, again, that interoperability, kind of moving stuff from ship to the shore. So they might just be doing that as well, but pretty cool.
Meanwhile, the Swedish fire control team decides to get a head start on NATO integration. they meet up with the Italian Marines from the San Marco Brigade
Oh,
who have
hell
landed
yeah.
nearby and are practicing calling for artillery fire from an Italian warship.
Nice.
Delta, this is Juliet.
Have I seen those guys before? They look high
Fortunately, the
speed.
Swedes are already familiar with Alliance tactics and procedures.
Say, for instance, in a future conflict,
Fuck yeah.
being able to fly with different countries, just the one that is on station in that area at that time, is making us 100 times more dangerous for a possible enemy.
Hell yeah.
It's always nice to hear different
Dangerous,
countries'
I like that word.
voices on the radio and knowing that you do basically the same thing already.
Oh
So you don't need
no,
any
the
pre-training,
Beretta
you just get
rifles.
right into it.
It looks pretty sick though, not gonna lie.
The U.S. Marines have come
Looks
a long
bulky
way,
though.
both figuratively and literally. After training in Sertemon, they've deployed to Finnmark, Norway's northernmost region, for a sort of final exam in winter
damn.
warfare. Here, there are no instructors.
It can get
The Marines
colder.
are on their own, with miles of Norwegian wilderness before them. Fortunately, hard lessons have paid off.
The difference between us a month ago and now is night and day. People know how to take care of themselves better. They understand their daily, day-to-day routines. They understand the basics of what they need to get through day to day, which means that the
What
battalion
a
can
view,
focus
man.
more on being enemy-oriented rather than focusing on sustaining ourselves internally.
Good
Being able
point.
to move in this challenge.
Once you get the sustainment down, then you can focus more on like tactics. You can do kind of more drills with that. You can focus more on your positions and the layouts and kind of talk about how you can use the terrain in this environment versus other environments. Because I mean, when you think about like doing a patrol base, for example, or like a defense in like a forest, it's going to be different in how you lay it out versus an environment like this. Because a lot of how it looks like this, it's kind of like naturally concealing as far as like the camouflage. Everything kind of like blends in a lot more because even if you're like digging into it, it's not, you don't have this green versus brown of the dirt that you just kind of like dug up. You're not necessarily disturbing the earth or at least the appearance of the earth as much. So you can kind of focus more on that and kind of how the enemy sees your positions. And yeah, there's a lot of things you can go into, but yeah, it's nice to be able to lock it down that stuff so you can focus on the stuff that really matters. It's going to really get you to be more proficient above the enemy or the adversary.
Marine is one thing, being able to fight is quite another. The deep snow slows the Marines down, and in this mostly featureless landscape, there's little cover from hostile fire. To prevail, the
Those
Marines need
Oakleys.
to be fast and aggressive.
Nice,
Being
dude.
able to operate in an environment like this truly makes us capable of operating in any climate and place, which provides more options for our decision makers when they need the military to respond. As these young Marines and sailors get to work side by side with the Norwegians, with the Finns, with the Swedes, their own confidence in just how good these allies are continues to grow.
Hell yeah.
In March
you got the Arcturus,
2024,
too.
while its Marines were deployed to Norway, Sweden made history by formally joining NATO as the alliance's 32nd ally.
That's a badass
It was an
picture.
emotional moment for the Swedes, who in joining NATO ended more than 200 years of military non-alignment.
Being part of NATO
Really
feels,
is crazy.
good.
That's like
From now it's going to be a lot
Just
easier
living through
in
history.
many ways, and I hope the interoperability with the allied partners will
That's
be easier
it.
from now.
No way.
Sweden's joining NATO absolutely makes
badass.
the alliance stronger. I can tell you they are highly competent, they are very skilled, and they share our values and our kind of collective ethos that goes into
Dude,
our operations.
Dark Eye Pro would be
The
necessary.
Nordic countries are
Get
now
some snow
united under
blindness.
the banner of collective defense. At a time when European security is threatened by a major conflict, NATO's Arctic Marines must stand ready to defend the alliance, no matter the time or place.
Nice. This video was on point. I think probably one of the best ones we've seen from the NATO YouTube channel. Again, we've been seeing kind of like their videos throughout the years. And this one was, yeah, the quality is really going up there, especially talking about like this and stuff and the symbolism and just these really badass pictures. Really kind of helps wrap everything together and helps you get in the mindset of kind of what it means for this cooperation, this joint training. Okay, well that was a very, very cool video. Again, one of y'all recommended this to me, and although I'm subscribed to the NATO YouTube channel, a lot of times I still won't get the notifications or I just still won't see a lot of the stuff that they upload. So I really appreciate you guys, and I kind of really, really rely on you guys to send me this really cool stuff my way so I can check it out. This is a cool one. Again, it's nice to kind of keep track of the Marines and see what they're up to, and also just kind of look at the gear. But it is also awesome to kind of see that cooperation, especially for these countries like Finland and Sweden, who just recently kind of joined NATO, and kind of seeing the cooperation that's happening afterward. I mean, of course, this stuff was kind of happening beforehand, but seeing it now, and again, kind of just seeing it's underneath that NATO flag, I guess, really goes to show like what it means to have that kind of mindset for them to be a member of NATO, and what it means to kind of have each other's back like that. And training and kind of getting the confidence of seeing each other operate really helps the confidence in each other to kind of see that conflict up ahead and understand that you guys feel comfortable operating with each other and having each other's backs. But definitely a very cool video. Again, if you guys took part in this training, let me know. I 100% will just go ahead and say that I'm very much jealous that you guys got to participate in something that cool. But yeah, let me know how it was. Let me know how challenging it was if you're from the US or otherwise kind of working in that environment. The Finns were kind of talking about how, you know, Finland is pretty flat, but going to a terrain like that where it's kind of, you know, more hills, more elevation is still different for them. Even regardless, like if they're proficient with the skis, that's still a new dynamic potentially for them. So yeah, it's kind of interesting to kind of hear, although people have background and experience in one thing, there still might be certain parts of the terrain or the environment that just change it, you know, enough for it to be kind of taxing for them. But the Marines, again, it's definitely probably a very new environment for most of them. But definitely a very cool video. Again, hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you guys have anything to recommend, definitely feel free to send it my way, whether it be in the comments or in the Discord. I really do appreciate all the recommendations. And again, definitely go and check out Tasty Gains down in the video description. Again, big thanks for them for supporting the video, and again, just kind of helping fuel the gains as well. But that is it for this video. I will see y'all in the next one.